Hey, it's Jonathan Gabel here. Thanks a bunch for coming on back. You know I love chatting with you about this whole credit card processing industry. So topic for today is three-tier pricing versus interchange plus pricing. And you might not be familiar with either of those terms, or you may, but here's a real quick little historical tidbit about pricing structures in the credit card industry. So years back, since inception, I would say, three-tier pricing was really the only thing going, right? You would have a best case scenario rate, you would have a middle of the road rate, and then you would have a worst case scenario rate. That's how processors or credit card processing salespeople basically presented the information to business owners and merchants. The reality of the situation is that was kind of just all made up. That's not really how we as processors are billed from Visa, MasterCard, and card issuing banks. So although it looks pretty clean and pretty nice, it generally is not the most cost-effective pricing model for you, and here's why. You ready? Okay, here's why. So again, the whole industry is based on risk and liability. We chatted about that a couple videos back. So the more risk there is in processing a certain type of card, the higher the rates. So what happens is, depending on who issued the card, who the card is issued to, and how it's entered into your system, affect how every single card you process falls into this ridiculous spreadsheet called Interchange. And business cards, rewards cards, debit cards, check cards, key entered cards, international cards, and all of these combinations of those affect or have a completely separate rate associated to it. And on this three-tier pricing model, what processors will do is they will take those 300 some odd categories and they group them into three tiers. They call it qualified, mid-qualified, and non-qualified. They generally always sell you on this best case scenario qualified rate, 1.1, 1.5, whatever it may be. And if they're doing like an analysis for you, they'll take that best case scenario, multiply it times your entire volume, and present this crazy savings to you. And although it sounds really good, it doesn't generally ever play out, right? Because most of the cards that are processed these days are some sort of rewards card, some sort of business card, and not very many cards fall into that qualified tier anymore. So although they'll have a zero profit margin or a loss leader on that, what does qualify, those rewards cards fall into this mid-qualified, God forbid this non-qualified, will have a monstrous profit margin and then just a ridiculously monstrous profit margin, and you ultimately end up paying that in the end. And if you switch processors in the past and realized it wasn't quite what it was meant to be, you know what I'm talking about. So the way that Interchange Plus pricing works, it's very transparent, and this is actually how the credit card industry works. Every month, we, as processors, don't care who you are, all of us, we get a report from Visa, MasterCard, and the card issuing banks that tells us exactly what type of cards you processed. You did 15 rewards cards and 127 debit cards and 29 corporate cards or whatever it may be. It tells us exactly the volume or the amount of sales that went through there and our cost to process those for you, which again is the same for all processors. The only thing we do, or only thing the Interchange Plus pricing model does, is adds one fixed margin on top of all of them. It's the same for all the cards, and then passes that report right on to you in the form of your monthly statement. So the cool part about it is, A, it's super transparent. B, you're gonna know exactly, specifically, what the cost is to manage your account. And thirdly, or C, I'm not sure where I left off there, is you're going to know exactly what the profit margin is on your account, which is clearly broken out, or should be at least. And as long as that margin, in the form of a number, does not change on a month-to-month basis, you know your processor is not messing with you. So years back, three-tier pricing was probably the only way to go. Probably about 8 to 10 years or so, 10, 15 years or so, this Interchange Plus pricing model kind of got released to your more mainstream business types and business sizes, and it's sort of been the best thing going since. So if you're looking at your statement and you're seeing qualified, mid-qualified, non-qualified, it's probably a good time to take a look around, do some shopping. If you have questions, if you have a statement, you want me to take a look at it for you, I'll be happy to do a cost analysis, to analyze it, go through it line by line. If it can save you some money, or my biggest thing is just educate you as a business owner so you know what you're paying, why you're paying, and who you're paying it to, I would love the opportunity. Again, my goal is always to make sure that you are operating as efficiently and as successfully and as profitably as possible so you can create whatever change you're looking to do in your world and the customers you serve. Thanks for coming by.